Okay, it's time to reveal your overall player of the season in the Sports Mold Reader Awards. We've got it narrowed down to 8 players here, from some of the best leagues in Europe, and some huge names here. You've got the likes of Suarez, Messi, Ronaldo, the usual suspects. Then you've got Mahrez, Vardy, those Leicester players, Kante is on there as well, and then Aubameyang, Ibrahimovic on there. All great players. Barnes, 56 goals for Luis Suarez this season. He'd probably be maybe the stand-up player. Would you agree with that?
I would. I picked him as my La Liga player of the season as well. So I think for him, the manner he's just spearheaded that front three, that unbelievable front three, the best we've ever seen in football, I think. It's been fantastic, and he's outshone even Messi and Neymar this season in that Barcelona team. Ronaldo would be close to him for his Champions League exploits, but for me, Suarez has been the standout player in the world this season. He's gone on to another level since leaving Liverpool, when I already thought he was probably the best centre forward in world football. He's just gone on to another level, and he scores all types of goals. The way he plays football, I just love it. The battling style, he can mix it with the toughest defenders. He scores headers. He can score absolute worldies from range as well. He's just an all-round great player, and I think this has probably been the best season of his entire career so far. He's just been superb.
Yeah, Barnes touched on Ronaldo's Champions League exploits there, Matt, and I know you want to sing the praises of him.
Yeah, 16 Champions League goals this season. Obviously got 17 last season, wasn't it? Is it last season? Season before, sorry, where they reached the final and beat Atletico Madrid, and he needs one more, and what a way to do it would be if he did it in the final against Atletico Madrid later this month. But 49 goals this season, 7 fewer than Luis Suarez. But I think Ronaldo this season, the stand-up moment for me, which I remember the most, and I remember that part of this season, is when they lost 2-0 to Wolfsburg in the first leg, needed to win at home, and Ronaldo pops up a hat-trick, and that's just typical, just him in a nutshell. When his team needs him, he'll pop up with a goal. And it's all about him leaving at the end of the season. It's just so surprising for me because he's got 49 goals this season. He scores over 60 goals a season. It's just ridiculous, those sort of numbers. And Suarez, I agreed as well, should have been the La Liga player of the season. But I think overall, when you take into account the Champions League and the fact that Real Madrid have reached there and could win it, obviously got a 50% chance. Ronaldo for me. But you mentioned other players in there like Jamie Vardy, Mahrez, obviously more Premier League stuff. Obviously not in the Champions League, will be next season. Kante as well. Ibrahimovic as well, I'd say 46 goals this season overall. On a free transfer in the summer. It's not a bad free transfer, is it, if he comes? But for me, it would be Ronaldo and Suarez. I'd be surprised. I think it's a battle for third place, and it'd be interesting to see who makes it.
I think Ibrahimovic, his goals and assists as well, 34 years old I think he is now. He's done so well this season, Ibrahimovic, and no surprise to see 3 Leicester players on there, Vardy, Mahrez and Kante. And I think of those 3 in terms of the impact, goals and assists, maybe you might say Mahrez, just in terms of how much he's broken out this season. And when you look back, 450,000 I think he cost them from Le Havre a couple of years ago, so he's been a great sign, but good to see 3 Leicester players on there.
It is good, and they deserve their place because they've been so good this season, and the whole team has contributed to Leicester's success, but those 3 have been the main 3 players for them this season. They deserve their place, as Matt said, that when you're taking into things like Champions League as well, obviously that doesn't count for them, and now they didn't go too well in the FA Cup or the League Cup. It was just purely Premier League that they succeeded in. So when it comes to overall player of the season, you've got to give other players the edge. One player we haven't mentioned yet, who's a perennial person here, is Lionel Messi. I think he won our award last season, and rightly so, because he fired Barcelona to the treble. This season hasn't been his best campaign, but still, look, he's got landmarks. He scored his 500th goal for Barcelona, 500th senior goal, I think. Played his 500th game for Barcelona, so he's had a notable season. It hasn't been his best season, as I said earlier. He's probably been outshone by Suarez a bit, and he's had his injury problems, which you don't usually talk about with Messi. So wouldn't be surprised to see him for once out of the top 3 in terms of overall player of the season. And another player we haven't mentioned is Aubameyang for Borussia Dortmund. He's been fantastic so far this season. You question how they might get on after they got rid of Lewandowski, but he's really come in. He's filled the void. Got a lot of goals this season. Obviously, they were big favourites to go all the distance in Europa League. That didn't happen in the end. Pushed Bayern Munich a long way in the Bundesliga as well. So Dortmund, after a bit of an iffy season under Jurgen Klopp in his final campaign last season, they seem to be back to being a European force. I think they'll be one to look out for in the Champions League next season, especially if they can keep hold of players like Aubameyang. Mats Hummels obviously going, which is a big blow for them, but Aubameyang's been so key for them.
It'd be interesting. Aubameyang said he's really interested in the Real Madrid move. So, if they can keep him, we're not sure if Benzema's going to be Real Madrid's main striker for too much longer. So, Aubameyang's an interesting one. But in terms of defensive players, Kante's the only one there really that is kind of a defensive-minded player. And we've talked about the best defence in Europe is undoubtedly Atletico Madrid. Matt's a little surprised to see that the likes of maybe Diego Godin haven't made this shortlist.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, I think when you look at overall player of the season, though, everyone likes players that go forward, likes players that score goals, and I'm not too surprised that it's heavily dominated by players obviously looking the other way. And like I said earlier, I think Ronaldo and Suarez will be up there, and it'd be interesting to see what sort of the take on the players sort of below them. And I'd like to see Ronaldo just about pip Suarez, but it is going to be very close.
It'd be a surprise if Suarez doesn't win it, but let's have a look, Matt. Let's see who the Barnes gone.
Well, in 5th place is Lionel Messi with 9%, and never thought I'd see this, but beating Lionel Messi is Jamie Vardy with 11%. We have Mahrez in 3rd with 13%, Suarez 22% in 2nd, and Ronaldo does just pip him with 25% in 1st.
Very, very close then. And Matt, like you said, must be pleased to see Ronaldo get
Yeah, very pleased. Yeah, 3%, very close. You know, that's nothing against Suarez. You know, he's had an unbelievable season. You know, like Barney, I think he's made himself, you know, the best striker in the world. But Ronaldo, just for me, overall, again, Real Madrid have not been particularly great this season in certain patches, but Ronaldo just finds a way to drag them through and score goals. He's a machine. Mahrez, I think 3rd place. That's you know, that's seriously up there. Like you mentioned, he cost under £500,000, and that's just, you know, ridiculous. Vardy, Messi in 5th. I think Ibrahimovic is a touch unfortunate to miss out on that top 5, but you know, it's a good top 2.
Certainly, and like you said, Barnes, Messi down there in 5th, behind the likes of Vardy and Mahrez. I mean, just shows. I mean, they fully deserve to be. Leicester, what they've done this season, just incredible.
I do. I don't think you can argue really with that top 5. I think everyone deserves their place there. Ronaldo probably just pipped it for the Champions League, especially because he's been so good in that competition, and obviously got him to the final, whereas Barca went out in the quarter-final. So that's probably the difference between those two. Those two Leicester players deserve that. I'm quite interested, looking a bit forward, the Ballon d'Or votes, if they're anywhere near them, because that'd be, I mean, they've probably deserved it. Maybe that'll depend on how they get on in the Champions League next season. But yeah, I can't really argue with that top 5. I'm going to see Messi sneak in there, but I couldn't really make an argument for him being in the top 2 this season. I think the top 2 is right. I would have had them the other way round though.
Yeah, so it was always going to be between Suarez and Ronaldo, I think, but you guys have called it. It's Cristiano Ronaldo who is your overall player of the season for 2015-2016.